Hello. Welcome to ISIMS 2022. First of all, we would like to thank all authors for their contribution. In this session, there are 10 presentations in this session. Let's start with the first presentation. First presentation, dear Ali Saadon Ahmet.
Yes, sir. Hello, everyone.
Hello, you can start.
Yes. Are you seeing my presentation, please?
Yeah, no problem. You can start.
Hello, everyone, and very good afternoon. I will introduce myself. I'm Ali Saadon Ahmed from Iraq, master student in Altenbash University and Information Technology Department. I will be explain review my paper and study of building with IoT system for energy management. Presentation context, number one, introduction and objective of paper. Explain IoT application in the smart city. Number four, platform for IoT software. Five, proposed system and discussion. Finally, a conclusion and recommendation. Introduction, the IoT may be to help. Its goal is to link many heterogeneous devices over the internet, which reflects on layer architecture that competing people and web surface to simplify an application work. Also, this paper will offer a customized Internet of Things hierarchical architecture model with an overview of each implement competencies enables intelligence, energy regulation, and building of smart cities. This paper discusses an advantage IoT-based energy management system for building. Okay, and next slide. Architecture described it as just a framework that building together objects, people, and cloud service to make application activities easier. As a result, the IoT reference model may be this diagram described as shown in figure. This figure described IoT architecture models. A first begin IoT enables technology hardware. You need hardware in the first step and IoT software platform. Finally, this IoT application cloud service and people you can use IoT. Next slide is the objective of paper. A and B show the main objective of this paper or this paper. Number A, the paper describes an advantage IoT-based energy management system for building. B, a semantic framework is proposed to unify and standardize the modeling of the things that make up the built environment, a prevent rule are created with the goal of intelligent energy management and the overall smart building mode of operation. Explained IoT application in the smart city. You can show the figure. Okay, you can many application in the smart city. A smart city may be through of pod application category. The encompass area includes smart device, smart grid, smart automobiles, and the traffic control, smart home. Maybe or is part of the smart city. A regular includes built light, heating, and air system, audio and video, smart TV, and security can communicate with one another or through a central control unit to provide conform security energy efficiency to honor or compare through this subtechnology. Platform for IoT software. 4 levels are determined in a general SOA. This service-oriented architecture. Number 1 or level 1, the sensor layer dedicated the state of objective using integrated hardware. Step 2, the network layer link everything and collected information from the hardware platforms. The surface layer is responsible for aggregating and managing services that are required by user in addition application. The interaction techniques with a program of users are enabled by the interface layer. Slide. This figure describes an surface-oriented architecture-based architecture for such an Internet of Things IoT Madwire. Applications, service competencies, service management, objective abstraction, object. This figure constructs a service-oriented design for an IoT. Proposed system. In this slide, you found 2 steps to propose system: internal architecture, framework for symmetry. Step 1, internal architecture. You can see this figure in this paper. To suggest Internet of Things based system consists of the following components: 5 data aggregating module, gather information for several sources, building data, energy output, energy cost, weather data, and end user behavior. Scientific framework and is a communicative program that uses semantic web technologies to combine data from many sources and descript. Can see this figure architecture for internal architecture, and this figure framework for semantics. The second stage comprises a communication platform that comprises data from many sources and domains to controllers that is current sensor. It's built open of the stream technology, which comprises and controls information for several sources. Designed with the new framework data is stored in the biostrip store for all predict that have already been included or like the to the smart building environment. Relevant ontology optimized has been built all through this framework. Okay. IoT-based multi-energy network may be defined high building bucket island cities and other vast location. You can see multi-energy network use ICT information communication technologies to connect the smart electric grid, hard and gas supply grids and internet traffic to provide unified energy. A smart city and Internet of Things based energy management architecture. This you can show in this figure. In this slide discussion, the major goal was to create a scalable ICT platform that was flexible, easy to ground, and really conversion from both and administrators, all personnel and users. If you customize standpoint, it might be analyzed for management government to measure and control the city energy condition in building. In IoT architecture, breakdown has been defined in this study, in which objective, people, and the cloud service are all integrated to make application activities easy. Application in mind, following the script of IoT software platform and supporting technology, some of the IoT problem restrict from IoT software and hardware immediately aware discuss. When this issue are resolved, the fundamental promise of an efficiency IoT system will be realized. Resulting in the establishment of a safe, dependent, and user-friendly IoT system that provide every day, confirm and conversion to user. Conclusion and recommendation: the IoT is expected to be widely utilized at network to link billion of items in the features. All service and information would be available everywhere around. Use IoT Internet of Things has a wide range of potential application, but just handful are now in use. A smart city will have a wide range of use in the future, including subsequent energy control of building, multiple heterology device must be capable or connected to an Internet of Things system over the net, which underline the vital necessary for such a flexible layers architecture. The ICT-based solution that take advantage of IoT technology can contribute to energy saving by simulating and supporting a competent behavior change. In this respect, to the proposed Internet of Things based system allowed energy and user to open environment and toward energy saving and load shifting, as well as an establishment of their environment of energy used and user comfort. Thank you for listening. I'm ready for any question.
Thank you for presentation.
Any questions?
No question. Thanks again.
Okay, thank you. Goodbye. Thank you.
You're welcome. Next presentation, Bir Refat Otman. Here,
Hi guys.
you can start.
Yes, let me share my screen.
Yeah.
You see my screen, right?
Yeah, no problem. You
Okay.
can start.
Good. Okay. Good afternoon, guys. My name is Rafat Othman from Palestine. I will talk about my paper, which is related to test case auto generation for web application, a model-based approach. The outline, I will talk about the introduction, and the other one, the contribution and the approach by high level, and the summary at the end. For the introduction, these days web application used widely known, and it's used by employees, customer, and business partner to do their business process and task every day. And web testing can be done to check if the software meets all the requirements and make sure the quality of the application works as expected, so that the result will be defect-free software and reliable. And now the automation approach help testing to easily automate the test and execute them, and run by which software you need. And the advantage for the automation testing gives the correct output for the different inputs. And the second one completes all the tasks and finish testing within a shortened time, because you run the automation. You don't need to waste time to run it manually. And run the software in different environment. You can run the software in different environments, and help engineers and testers to decreasing the testing cost in the software, and decreasing the budget and increasing the quality. The most important thing here, to have a quality for any application. So we need testing to test every application, and we need especially the automation here in this stage. Okay, about the contribution, the main objectives for my paper related to extend for web domain specific visual and domain specific textual languages, which is DSVL and DSTL, to enable test case presentation. And the second one, develop a model-based framework that automatically generate test case based on the SVL and the STL notation. And the third one, evaluating our approaches using a focus group case study that measures the efficiency and user acceptance and effectiveness and usability of the model. So the main contribution of my paper is helping tester and developer to generate test case for the web application. They only need to provide the step by using a user interface that leverages the domain, the DSVL and the STL, that allowed the tester to design a test step and automatically generate the code of the test after he drag and drop the notation for the tests for the step. And I will talk about the DSVL and DSTL. The DSVL contains all UI visual elements and component. Each one present a specific concept of the test case, and the element and component called notation that correspond to the test case meta model that act as a base of the test step model. And the second one, DSTL. DSTL consists of the set of textual notation and the STL notation used by tester to adding or editing a specific test steps if you need to add more information about the step. If you see my approach, this is high level for the approach, and the step one describe the high level of the test case using the SVL, including number of the test step and test cases, and the order of the test cases. This is step one. Step two, tester can switch using the STL to provide additional details for the test case that are not provided by the SVL. For For example, if you need to add a condition code that compares value or something like that, you need to using the STL because you need to provide more information about it. And you know, both the DSVL and DSDL update the test case model allow tester to switch between the interfaces as they proceed through the modeling process. Tester can view the code that will generate for their model in the step 3. And by using a model-to-model transformation algorithms to convert the test case step meta model to test step model, test step meta model contains all the required information that they need for generating the code for the test case. And the approach in step 6 will map the code template to the test model and generate the source code for the test. And step 7, the generated code for the test case, which is from approach, contains all the code related to cases that is ready to be run and executed. And after that, and after this step, in step 8, we will have the Selenium code, Java code for the test case. This is high information about the approach. And for the framework implementation, we use the test step meta model algorithm. The test step meta model is model that represent the test case step that are specified by developer using the SVL, the STL. And this also model consists of all specification and attribute that describe the test case that will be generated. And the second one, test step model. And the test step model is a model that represents the test model in terms of code. And it contains all the required information about the step that are needed to generate test case code. And the third one, related test case modeling process. It's provide a step test case is modeled into a data test case meta model using model-to-model transformation. And this process is done to ensure that the provide data for this case is valid and adding all information needed for code generation. And the input for this model is JSON test data and output test case model. And fourth, the model-to-model code transformation. This algorithm transform for the test step model to test case source code. The generated code will be ready for execute and to check the result. The input for this model is the input is a JSON file, and the output code, a Selenium code for that. If you see here this example for JSON file that contains every section a step. Separated step, and each step we need to have some component, some parameters that required for each step related to the number, the action, and the XPath for the step, and the description for the step. And after that, my approach, my framework generated this code. If you see, this is example that auto-generated from the framework. And it contains 3 steps, and each step do a different action. And this is an example for the auto for the framework. This code, we can just click one click to run all the tests without any interaction from tester and employee. And the summary, I need to talk in this study as an extended model approach to automate test case generation using Selenium for web application. The approach employs model-based techniques that automatically generate test case by using the SVL, the STL, automatically generate test cases. And we measure the user acceptance and efficiency and effectiveness of the approach that used for generating a code for the tests. In addition, the approach has been evaluated using a case study and user evaluation study conducted on a group of 20 testers and developers from different experience level. And participants use the approach, our framework to auto-generate Selenium code for the test of the web application by using the SVL and the STL. And we also mentioned all the results in the paper that have many metrics, including participant and tester experience, and how many the approach is easy of learning and user mistakes. And that's it.
Thank you for presentation.
Sure.
Is there any question? Okay, thanks again.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Next presentation, dear Tuğçe Paksoy.
Hello, I share my screen.
Okay.
Can you see my presentation?
Yeah.
Hello everyone. First of all, I would like to thank everyone who contributed to organizing such an event. My name is Tuğçe Paksoy. I am a PhD student at Dokuzeli University, Department of Statistics. Today I will tell you about our work titled Microarray and Pathway Analysis for Osteoarthritis Disease. First, I will make a short introduction. In this section, I will talk about the purpose of our study and give a brief information about the disease. Then I will summarize the material and method part and explain our findings. Finally, I will explain the conclusion part of our study and finish the presentation. Aim of our study are learn the genetic background of this disease, investigate whether the statistically significant genes in the analyzed data set were associated with other diseases, and define the biological functions of genes using pathway analysis. Osteoarthritis is an orthopedic disease that is common worldwide and negatively affects lives of patients. 4 years ago, high-dose osteoarthritis cases in China, India, and USA. The disease seen in the joint areas and the most affected joints are hands, foot, and knees. As with any disease, this disease has various risk factors. Risk factors of the disease are age, obesity, and infection on joint regions. Risk of developing the disease increases with weight gain and age. There are various treatment methods for the disease, such as medication and physiotherapy. However, these treatments are aimed at reducing the pain of the patient. There is no method that completely cures the disease. In this study, data from the gene expression on this database with access number is this GeoID was used. The data set consists of 5,000 samples and 6 samples with this disease. There are 22,283 genes in the chip. Before starting the analysis, we need to normalize the data. Because this process makes comparable the expression estimates from different samples. The normalization process was carried out with the RML function in the upper package in our program. Figure 1 shows how normalization changes raw data. The samples came to almost the same level. We carried out the normalization process. Second step to identify differentially expressed genes. Differential expression analysis enables the discovery of variation in expression levels between experimental groups. T-test was used to find differentially expressed genes. Genes with log 2-fold change value greater or equal to 1 are defined as upregulated. Genes with log 2-fold change value less than or equal to -1 became downregulated genes. Gene ontology enrichment analysis defines the molecular function, biological processes, and cellular component functions of differential expressed genes. Analysis was performed using the cluster Cropula package in our program. Disease ontology, semantic, and enrichment analysis is information about the association of genes and disease in humans, and molecular background underlying the genetic structure of disease. X-ray analysis provides information about the biological roles of differentially expressed genes and which can interact with each other. Enriched X-ray function and reactant PA library were used in our program. Network analysis was performed in the Cytoscape program. Let's look at the results. In the study, 155 differentially expressed genes were found. Of these genes, 115 were determined downregulated and 48 upregulated. This table shows top 10 genes with the most significant expression value. For example, periostin, POST10, defines tissue development and regeneration. Gene ontology enrichment analysis for upregulated genes shown in figure 2. This is a bar chart and consists of three different functions: biological process, cellular component, and molecular function. Looking at the biological process, cartilage development, extracellular matrix organization, and collagen tubule organization are seen. Gene ontology enrichment analysis for downregulated genes shown in figure 3. Biological process for downregulated genes defined as response to decreased oxygen levels and response to steroid hormones. In figure 4, there is a dot plot showing the relationship of differentially expressed genes with various diseases. Coloring of dots is done according to p-value. Type of dot is directly proportional to the number of genes. The figure includes 15 diseases. A few of them can be listed as follows. Anoxia, which can be defined as absence of oxygen in tissue. Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, defined as skin elasticity. Flaccid is when a baby is born with a teeth that turn in and under. In figure 5, genes associated with disease are shown as a network graph. Endometrium may refer to as chocolate chip and related to Tispan and VEGF-alpha gene. Reactant X-ray is shown figure 6. Extracellular matrix organization relates collagen. Phospho-mediated transcription of cell type of X-ray is associated with different genes. Protein-protein interaction network learning cytoscape is shown in this figure. Colors of the genes are determined according to fold change value. Color of the upregulated genes are red. Color of the downregulated genes are green. In this figure, diamond nodes show the genes working in cell adhesion, which the mechanism behind how cells interact with each other. Circle node is defined as angiogenesis. It is effective in growth and wound healing processes. In conclusion, statistically significant genes and identified pathways might be new targets for this disease, and different diagnosis and treatment methods may be associated with these genetic factors. This is my references. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for presentation. Is there any question? Okay. Dear Hassan, Furat Falih Hassan.
Assalamu alaikum.
You can start.
Yeah, I am Kaz, but just I want to share my screen 1 minute.
Okay.
It's now clear for everyone?
Yeah.
Yes. So, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Here's Furat Falih Hassan from Iraq. Today I'm going to present my paper under the ID number 287 under the titles From the Google Form to the Data Repository, a New Methodology in Data Collection, Data Transformation, and Information System Evaluations. So, due to the rapid development of information system, decision must be taken in quickly and choosing a plan for the must be supported by the accurate, predicted, reliable data and evaluation of the possible outcome. And since decision must be taken based on the real-time systems and real-time requirement in order to ensure the effectiveness for all the different type of information system in different organizations and different fields. The most common technology and the most powerful technology is called Google Forms. Google Forms exists now in different platforms and different systems. So, making related work to analyze the previous work, we have created some criteria there. The criteria start from A1 to A9. The first one is the previous methods or previous works. The first criteria is provide the method for electronic data collection, support the features of data analyze. The third criteria is provide the facilities for electronic survey systems, support the data repository to store all the previous and present and futures data, helps in change to collect data format according to the on-demand requirements. That means I'm changing the data or changing the collected data based on the different format, based on the different requirements, support all the accessing platforms, different operating system, different devices, produce uniform method to be used with all organizations. That means I am using one method or one models to manage my data and collect the data based on the requirement, provide the electronic transformation for the collected data to the analyzed program. That means the proposed method or the proposed work must be supported by the ETL extract, transform, and load to extract the data from the source system to the target database system. Our approach when analyzing the previous criteria, our approach or previous works, our approach when you see different work is there, our approach that support different criteria is here. So come to our approach. Access platform, start by the access platform. That means all the different platforms there. For example, I mentioned before, for example, different operating system, different device. Google Forms is our technology. Our models is based, or our methodology is by the Google Forms. So after I collecting all the data, what I have to do, I am using the R programming to collect and format the data according to the requirement, and then make the link between the source system, different source system. For example, I have one source system, I have one Google Forms, I have 10 Google Forms, I have 100 Google Forms. Depends on the organization requirement, and after that I am analyzing the collected data and arrange it to the final repository, or the final data warehouse is different for different system based on the organization. For example, some organization using SQL database, relational database, non-relational database, Mongo database, what else? So making the view to our methodology or our methods, starting from the system response, Google Forms, linking Google Forms with the R programs. That means I am making a platform, a private platform, a private environment to get all the data inside the R programming language. After that, or using their R Studio, managing the data, analyzing the data, moving the data, all this based on the R functions and R packages. After that, getting to the final repository is, in our example, is here MySQL. So in this methodology, I can connect with the one repository or more repository. For example, I can move the data from any departments to any determined repository. I mean the repositories there, the database systems. So when I'm going to use this one, inside the repository, I make also another link from R to data warehouse systems, analyzing all the data there. I am generating different report by linking directly from the R programming to the data warehouse system. So the following are the most important outcome from the research. For this research is provide uniform methods used with all the type of information system in any organization. That means I'm using this approach only to interact with the different data, semi-structured data, structured data, unstructured data, and analyze it is based on the requirement or the based predefined requirement or based on the organization plans and transform to the final repository, minimize the time and application numbers and efforts in procedures for information system evaluation, provide repository to store all the past, current, and future data, provide the real-time data processing because I'm using here the R based on the cloud environment or cloud versions, and propose a new method to collecting, formatting data according to the relational and non-relational systems. That's yes. If any questions, I am ready.
Thank you for presentation.
Thank you. I just speak very fast to get all the data, to minimize the time for you because I know you have the meeting.
Okay, no problem.
Any
Is there any
questions? I'm ready
question?
for any questions there?
Okay, no question. Thanks again.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you.
Next presentation, dear İsmet Abaca.
Yes, thank you. Okay, I'm sharing my screen.
Okay.
Mhm. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, no problem.
Yes, okay. Hello, everyone. First, let me introduce myself. My name is İsmet Abaca. I'm a software engineering who works at TÜBİTAK, and also I'm a master's student at Marmara University. Now, I'm going to talk about the study that we did named NFT-based asset management system. So let's have a look of what I'm going to tell you. So first, I'm going to introduce the problem, and then we're going to talk about the fundamentals of blockchain, which is also my solution for the problem that I'm going to tell. After that, we are going to look at the related works. And after that, I'm going to propose the system. And at the end, we'll talk about the result and conclusion. So 1 year ago, my friend did buy a house and he faced a lot of issues. He spent a lot of time, and the transaction when you're purchasing or selling an asset, it is a lot and it's so complex. So my first problem is that in Turkey or in many countries, providing the ownership of an asset is done with title deeds. I mean, which means that we are using paper and books. So I think this is the main problem that we are having, because when we have data on paper, then it needs to be managed by people. And so there need to be some designated offices. This is my first problem. And the second problem is that when you're purchasing or selling an asset, it could be an apartment, the transactions are stored in that designated places, offices. So you need to physically go there in working hours. So it's going to cost a lot of time. My third problem is that even after you buy an asset, an apartment, you have to deal with post-purchase transactions. Like you have to pay taxes, you have to insure your asset, you have to subscribe for electricity, water, natural gas, internet, etc. And these companies are separate, so you have to deal with them one by one. And finally, leasing in Turkey, the leasing agreements are done by citizens in Turkey. That means that the government doesn't have any control over it. They can't see it because it's hidden. It is on the paper. So before I provide my solutions, I'd like to talk about blockchain a little. I'd like to talk about the fundamentals of blockchain. The goal of blockchain is to allow digital information to be recorded and distributed, but not edited. In this way, a blockchain is the foundation for immutable ledgers or records of transaction that cannot be altered, deleted, or destroyed. And these processes are secured by using cryptography. So in our proposed system, we use Ethereum blockchain network. And also we're using some smart contracts to do this kind of transaction. So smart contracts are computer programs that can be run without any human interactions. One of the key features of smart contract is that there is no need to trust a third party to be intermediate between sides. So other than smart contract, we use non-fungible tokens as an asset. In order to prove that we own an asset, we use non-fungible tokens, which kind of represents the ownership of a digital or non-digital objects, and they're managed by a blockchain network. And finally, we have wallets or cryptocurrency wallets. These are used to store public and private keys, which are used for transactions. So we use it as an ID so that we can prove who we are. So let's talk about the solutions that we come up with. So providing the ownership of an asset, we can do that with thanks to NFT technology. And it is so easy to sell and buy these kind of NFTs. So purchase and sale transaction can be done in your home without needing you to go to designated places. And post-purchase transaction, which is the study that we mostly focused on, is that we propose the system to manage the subscriptions, and so that we can apply and we can pay for our bills on one place only, with only using NFTs. And then at the end, we can use leasing as well in that system. So before I propose the system, I'd like to talk about some related works. Most of the related works about this topic is focused on the transaction of sale and purchase. But what we did was we focused on the management, and this system can be implemented on any kind of object. Even you can use it for your car, you can use it for hotel or watch, or even you can use it as an avatar for the metaverse in the future. So let's talk about the system proposal. I'm going to explain the system in scenarios. So we have some system actors. We have 5 system actors. The first one is the government. It represents the creator who's responsible for deploying the system and minting asset NFTs. The second one is the owner. It represents a wallet whose owner is also the owner of an asset. The third one is the blockchain network. It represents the Ethereum blockchain network, which we use for building and deploying our decentralized application, which is called dApps also. And we have company. It represents a wallet whose owner is the company that an asset owner wishes to subscribe to. And at the end, we have smart contracts, which I'm going to talk about in the next page. So let's deploy our system. So first, the government deploys 2 smart contracts. In this system, we have prepared 2 different smart contracts. The first one is asset, which is responsible for managing asset, like the government can mint NFTs, or you can pay your bills, or it can prove the ownership of the asset. And the asset is mostly interact with the human, the owner of an asset. And then we have subscription smart contract, which is responsible to manage the subscription. And it is mostly interact with the companies. And also these 2 contracts interact with each other. So let's have a look at our scenario. First, the government deploys asset smart contract on the blockchain network. And then it deploys the subscription smart contract on the same network. So in order for these 2 smart contracts to interact with each other, we need to set their addresses to each other. So first, it says asset smart contract address to smart contract address. And then the government subscription smart contract address to asset smart contract so that they can talk to each other. And then the government can mint the first NFT asset for an owner. So let's talk about the application for subscription process. In this process, first, the owner applies for a subscription to asset contract. And then the contract checks if the sender is the actual owner of the asset. If that's the case, then it requests the application to the subscription smart contract, and then it checks if the sender, if the request is coming from the asset contract or not. And again, if that's the case, then it creates a new application with the company address. And then that means that we have successfully applied to subscribe to a company. And after applying, the company has to verify it. They have to approve it. So this is the scenario of approving subscription application process. So first, the company verifies the application with asset ID, which means NFT ID. And then the subscription contract checks if there is any application to the company with given asset ID. And then if that's the case, then it approves the application and then returns the result. So now that we are successfully subscribed to a company, now the company has to bill us. So what it does is that it calls a method from subscription smart contract, and then the subscription smart contract checks if there is any application to the company with given asset ID. If that's the case, then it updates the bill and returns successful. So now that the company bills the owner, from this scenario, that now we are paying the bills. We are paying the bill. First, we have to know how much we need to pay. So we first send a request to get the bill amount to the asset smart contract, and then it does some controls, and then the bill amount, they are stored in the subscription smart contract. So the asset smart contract interact with subscription contract to receive the amount of bill so that it can provide information to the user. Okay, now we know how much we need to pay. Now we can pay our bills. So first, the owner sends the bill to the asset smart contract, and it does some controls again, and it gets the bill amount, and the asset contract checks if the value is enough to pay the bill. So if that's the case, it resets the bill, which is stored in subscription smart contract, and then the asset smart contract sends the value to the company's wallet and then returns the result, which is successful again. So with that scenario, we paid our bills with using one NFT and on one network. So application for unsubscription process is the same as subscription process. In short, we basically apply to cancel our subscription first, and then the company approves again this transaction, this applications, and now you cancel your application. So I'm passing here past because these are similar to subscription process. So as a result, the proposed system uses blockchain technology and each asset represented by an NFT. With this system, all subscriptions are managed using single NFT. In the application process, there is no need to sign a physical contract, and also selling and buying process of an asset is made easy by using NFT deeds. However, there are some disadvantages also. I mean, even though the proposed system helps the owner to manage their asset, it also brings some obligations and disadvantages. Each NFT needs to be owned by the owner, and the owner must own a wallet on the used blockchain network. And the second disadvantage is that in case of losing access to the wallet, the asset cannot be managed. This problem might be solved by some recovery method, which is also in the future work. So the other future work is that the proposed system needs to be analyzed in order to calculate the cost and the performance of the operations. So with this system, we basically, don't have to have designated offices, because we can use this transaction online and we can trust it. So these are the references that I used for this presentation, and that's going to be all. Thank you for listening. I can take any questions if you have some.
Thank you for presentation.
Mhm.
Is there any question? Okay, thanks again.
Okay, thank you a lot.
Next presentation, dear Saif Al-Jumali.
Yes, Professor, I'm here. I hear you.
Yeah, you can start.
Do you see my presentation?
Yes.
Yes. My name is Saif Al-Jumaili. I'm PhD student in Altenbash University. Today I will talk about the reset advance in convolution architecture that will be used for medical application. Today I will be talk about the convolution neural network in two sides. Classical side, this is normal one, and the quantum one. For classical side, as we know, it is the concept things. We have a convolution layer and ReLU layer, activation function and pole function, and also fully connected layer. It's divided in two sides. Side for feature extraction, and the second side is classification technique. For normal things, we need the first part. We will extract the information from the image, since we are using the medical image. The feature size it's explained here. It's showing me the kernel that will be used to extract the information from the image, and the slide side by side to cover all the image. And then we'll go to the pooling layer. The pooling layer will reduce the number of the feature that will be extracted from the image. And these techniques is a concept and normal things that will be used for CNN. There are different techniques that will be proposed. For example, VGG16, GoogleNet, and ResNet. Each one has a different techniques, but in the end of the day, it will be showing me the convolution layer. This is the technique. And the image that will be there's different techniques they propose. For example, spatial, deep, multiple feature map exploitation. For each one, as shown here, it is here. It show me, for example, VGG. It's used spatial exploitation. Deep depth. It's used for inception, version 3, version 4, and ResNet. These techniques is proposed to enhancement the CNN in a classical way. Then the image that will be used, which image that will be used for classification in medical application. There's different technique they proposed for the image. For example, CT scan, X-ray, histology, SPAC, PT, MRI, and ultrasound. Each one has a different diseases. These diseases used as a data to feed for CNN, whatever types. It was a quantum or a classical way. As shown here, the summary of the architecture that will be used since 1998, it showed me the first CNN model development, and the benchmark they will be applied to test and to learn the CNN model. They used MINIST dataset, which is one of the most popular dataset they used, and they will be create different types of dataset. ImageNet and CRF10 and 100 and 1000. This meaning the classes inside the dataset, which is used to learn their CNN. After the development, and then will be tested by using these datasets. Here it will be showing me the quantum circuit and our quantum CNN. A quantum CNN is used a circuit. It's completely different. Let's go first to take a look about what is meaning quantum, and then the principle of the quantum. And in quantum, there are two principles. It's fundamental of the quantum. Is supervision and entanglement. In supervision, it's used the entanglement. It's show me the exchange the information between the two qubits. Since I don't know the position, it's meaning superposition in quantum. The superposition is meaning I don't know the quantum bit in which state, because in a quantum I can see the probability it may be in the same state. So as shown here in the formula, it show me the superposition and entanglement. It show me all the result. Maybe if I will affect here for one side, the other it will be in other side. But the changing is not need time. Changing without time. This is the problem that quantum is so fast. For example, as I know, in Nature papers, they published a paper. They said it's faster than the light. That's what's broken the Einstein theory. But it is not proved till now. They said if we have here information, I can change it. I can send it to her in same time without need to the time to send and receive. This is the principle of the quantum. And since we're using a CNN, we need a gate, as shown here. It's using a gate, circuit gate. There are two different types of gates using for logical and to build a CNN. This is the gate that will be used to create a CNN. CNN using the gate. What's the gate we are used? For example, in here, as shown in the figure, they're using a convolutional gates. Okay, they called circuit gate. Is not circuit layer, and pooling circuit also by measuring the feature that will be extracted by state quantum of the circuit here. It show me here there are measurement. The measurement is meaning the pool layer. He will be measuring the feature that will be extracted, then will be applied to another convolutional layer here and continue like this to get a fully connected layer and go to the classifier part. Here it show me comparison between quantum CNN and quantum and CNN classical way. For example, if I will be input the image here, it will be divide a kernel. Here is no kernel. It's using a circuit gate. This is the state of the layers of the circuit that will be applied in a quantum state, and will be go on to get an feature extraction in both way, but the technique is completely different. Since I have a quantum, I need to software that will be applied. This software is applied by services. This is a services from IBM, Google, Amazon, Microsoft, D-Wave, whatever. All them, they will be provide a service to apply a quantum, because the quantum is not easy to buy and not easy to handle it. It needs a different environment. It's not like normal computer. So we use this, the companies start to provide the cloud technique. This cloud technique, I can log in it here. I can apply my code on the cloud computer and get return the result without to buy a computer. It's one of the most important solution that we can provide, and it's fast. So next step, we compare these techniques by using in medical application, applied in medical application. For epilepsy, they achieve the result is 88, for example, breast brain cancer, it achieved 49. But in another side, if we compare to the quantum technique, the result they achieve is so high and better than the classical computer. That will be give me at the end. I will be use the quantum computer for development a convolutional neural network technique that will be classify different types of diseases that will be maybe provide by using an image, and it will be the new features for computer science and for the technology that we used in the future. And thank you. Any question, please?
Thank you for presentation.
Thank you, Professor.
Is there any question? Okay, no question. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Next presentation, dear Hassan. You can start.
Sorry, are you getting me, Dr. now?
Yeah.
Sorry, I am back again. Now I'm presenting another papers also related to the technology of data gathering, because this year I published more than 10 papers related to the data collection and data transformation in different journals. The second paper is under the titles, under the number 274 title, the perspective of data quality in Google Forms. So, as I mentioned in the previous papers, the technology of the powerful of the Google Forms, that is for data is information from the facts, samples, object numbers, and different shapes. Data derived from the various sources, as I mentioned, is from the internal, external of the organization. The data collections, there's the organizations on information systems in different departments, in different organization needs tools, powerful tools to collect the data. As the shareable and wide use now is the technology is the Google Forms. So many tools are available to collect the data, such as using website or manuals. The most powerful technology to get the data is the Google Forms. So Google Forms commonly used to make surveys, since they are quick and easy to make and based on different platforms. It supports wide variety of questions format. Different question format is there. For example, there's paragraphs, including pull downs, menus, and boxes, selectables, multi-choice, and extra. With the recent update, Google Forms has become a fully functionality form tool that include no extra cost and with any Google accounts. So to come to the data qualities, many data qualities there to make sure to use to the collect and analyze the data according to the strategy of the organization. The first data quality dimension is accuracy. Second one is completeness, consistency, timeliness, validity, and uniqueness. All this is the dimension of the data quality by the high levels view of the data dimension of the data quality. So to come to use any technology used to gather the data and collect the data based on this data quality dimension, there's a different rules. The rules, a constraint is that utilized to validate data value record is no data quality rules. This rules is used to make sure the data is collected based on the requirement, or based on the some criteria, or based on the organization strategy or plan. For example, domain list, domains, partner list, domain range, command formats, no rules, functional dependency. All this is the tools used to make sure the data quality dimension and to ensure all the data quality dimension. For examples, when I'm using a technology to collect the data, so for some criteria is there, I have to ensure the null values is there. when using many, there is many technology used, but in Google Forms, there is many options used to no-null values to ensure that the data collected and consistency and depend on the predefined plan to collect the data. So this the second paper is the perspective paper, is the analytical papers to analyze all the dimensions of the data quality in this technology, to analyze from different, based on the different data quality dimension. As I mentioned, all the accuracy, completeness, consistency, timeliness, validity, and uniqueness. All this is ensured in Google Form by using the data quality rules. So if any questions, I am ready to answer the questions there.
Thank you for presentation.
Thank you, sir.
Is there any question?
Any question? I'm ready for other questions.
Okay, thanks again. Next presentation, dear Amr Abdel Bari. Dear Abdel Bari.
Yes, I just, do you hear me well?
Yeah.
Okay, I just share my screen. I hope it's visible now.
Yeah, no problem. You can start.
Okay. Hello, everybody. This is Amr Abdel Bari from nearest university, near North Cyprus, Turkey. Today I will speak about a new network in the anonymity and privacy networks called MDA. I will speak about some type of network, then I will introduce briefly the Tor network, then the BitTorrent distribution system, and finally I'll introduce the proposed anonymity network. First, today, well, recently, the networks going to deploy the 5G, which will deploy other emerging technology like IoT and cloud service. This will enhance the services and make available for other devices to connect to the network, which may double or 1000x of the devices before. So, like Internet of Things introduce all of the devices around us. So many devices will be connected to the network, and this will make a challenge for connecting and for the privacy and the anonymity and the security of these devices and these connections. So in general, types of network may be a disconnected nodes or the end users. We call it nodes here. End users here in individually and doesn't connect with each other. In a centralized network, the network or the communication between the nodes is managed by one central device, which is here. It's like the telecommunication system. The decentralized network, it's like you subdivide or make some subsystems for a group of devices or a group of network nodes. So they have either control all of the communication or part of the function and the services that the whole network provide. The distributed network, it's where all of the points or all of the end users communicate with each other without any central node or server. So here I will introduce briefly the Tor network. The Tor network, or the onion routing network, it's using the encryption where the sender send the plain text, then using a private key, he encrypt, or a public key, he encrypt the plain text into a ciphertext, which is moved on the network until it reaches the reception. And he, with his only key, can decrypt the ciphertext to the plain text and see the contents. It's like you have a plain text. It's like the text or a packet or whatever it is. It might be a video packet or another devices, another type of communication, and it will be a ciphertext which is cannot be revealed by an observer. The Tor network use that encryption in the communication inside the within the network. So the device, when a device wants to communicate with another device or browsing a website, he will use a hubs of points, as you see. So the end user A, or the two browser here, communicate with the first point A, then B, then C. So the communication is going around in a circuit between the transmitter and receiver. Here he can connect to through encrypted communication, so any intruder or observer cannot see the message between each connection. However, if he managed to see or analyze the traffic by the first user, the transmitter or the receiver at the other end, he can see that they used the Tor network, and if there is a global adversary, passive adversary, he can put some points and see that there is a communication between two devices. Also, he can analyze when somebody uses the Tor network and when not, and analyze the traffic and the density of the traffic, the time, and the type of the messages. The onion idea is using layers of encryption. So the first encryption above the message route C in red, it's belong to the last node in the circuit, and then the B, then the previous, then the previous. That's why they get the onion idea. So the problem statement here, or the problem related to the Tor network, is that any powerful entities like the global passive adversary can know who communicate with whom, can know who are using the private communication service, who search for what, and their location and time of activities. The companies and ISP maybe block the user from using the Tor network, and the Tor network only hide one destination, one side of the communication connection, or the communications, the source or the destination. Other tools issues in the link here. So the other idea here, or the other the MDA based on the Tor network and the VectorNet distribution service. So the VectorNet idea is basically when a user wants to download a movie, for example, he asks for the file .tornet, which is having only the list of IPs of a tracker server. When he communicates with this server, the server reply with IPs of the seeds, which is the people or the end user, other end users, who have parts of or the whole file that the first user want to download. So he communicates directly with these nodes, so he can get the file from them, and after he finish, he become another seeder or another contributor to this network. So the file sharing here, as I said before, you download from the web server, a normal web server, and then get a communication with the tracker, and then directly communicate with other user until he download the file. So the serverless BitTorrent, it's using the hash function or hash table. So hash table, it's like you have a data and you go to input to a hash function, then you get a key. This key, it's like a verification for if this is the original user or an intruder to the system. So the issues with the BitTorrent distribution system, it's only used for file sharing. It's not anonymous over Tor. It's the other cyber attacks and malware and viruses, and legal risk only is applied to a specific user. So here we have the proposed anonymity network. We only focus in the MDA network to introduce an anonymity to the user and the transmitter and the receiver. We don't focus on the cyber security or the attacks on the message itself. So it is encrypted already. We only focus on or aim to anonymities the transmitter and receiver. So any intruder from outside or observer, he cannot who speaking with whom or whatever, if he's speaking or not on at any time, if he's sending a message or not. So the design, getting some idea from Tor network, the multiple relays between the transmitter and the receiver, choosing all, so the transmitter know all the circuit until the receiver. From the BitTorrent network, the groups of node list of nodes listed in an MDAR file, or like in Tornet. So they are the seed. The people are the seed for the network. And any node can initiate a communication with another node using the list of the seeds or the list that is downloaded or received from another server. From the crowd theory, it's meaning that we have to make all, normalize all of the nodes to be identical to each other and the messages. So in MDA network, there is no server to rely on, and only the main component of the network is the nodes themselves. So the implementation of the node, the internal implementation is they have a client and a server, both of them at the same device. The client is the user interface. It's like a layer, the first layer, which is the user interface. It's responsible for the initiating, the starting, and the ending of the real message. And the server with the server node, node server at the receiver side. The node server at the same node, at the same device, control the network and responsible for the incoming messages. So if the message are control messages, for example, another node want to join the network, another node want to leave the network, want to initiate a communication, this server manage the network from this node side, okay? And there is another idea, it's initiating a fake message. A fake message is like you send some message over the network to make anonymity over the real message. So any node at any time, it's sending a random number of messages, even if the device it doesn't have a real connection or a real communication with a real receiver, a real user. And so the basic communication or connection based on Tor circuit. So the A, he wants to communicate with B. So he exchanged the keys for the encryption with B and C and D. Then he managed to send the message across C, across D, then and finally to B, which all of them is randomly selected from the node list shared by the network. The network implementation is that A communicate with multiple receiver at the same time. This number is randomly, so at time T1, it's communicating with 5, for example. At time T2, it's communicating with 3. So it is random to select some receiver, and within this number, there is maybe there is a real communication or not, and the fake message is following the same instruction and the same route as for real message, and it lasts for a random random time of life until it's finished at some point. The network implementation from general, a more general view, it's yet like you see here that all of the nodes either they initiate communication or a connection, either they are relay for another connection, and either they initiating a fake or real, all of the or communicating with control message. So all of the nodes doesn't have to stop communicating. They communicate at random numbers, so the probability at after some time it's normalized to the mean value, so it doesn't have to occupy the network or at all the time. So this is in brief description of the network implementation. In summary, I speak about the types of network, and I introduced briefly the Tor network, the BitTorrent for file sharing system. I speak about the proposed anonymity network, MDA, which is based on the Tor network and the BitTorrent for the node list. The MDA consists of node client and node server. The MDA network uses the identical message, so all of the messages are the same length, the same packets, the same headers. And fake message, it's initiating a fake messages between the nodes of the within the same within one group or with the same node list. And random connectivity, so they connect for a random time and connect for each node connect to a random number of nodes. This is solve the problem of anonymizing the real communication and anonymizing who is communicating with whom. Even if there is an intruder, or that intruder make himself as a node or a multiple node in the server, he cannot introduce some. He cannot know if he is a relay or a real receiver. Because of the encryption, he just follow the rules of the network. He will relay for some other nodes. Even if he know that there is a transmitter, he cannot differentiate if this transmitter initiating a real or a random faking communication. And the receiver itself, he cannot, if the next successive node is the real receiver or this is another relay, and the number of relay nodes is not fixed for all nodes. This is some possible answers for the possible threats to the MDA network. Thanks for listening.
Thank you for presentation. Next presentation, dear Luan Gashi. Dear Luan,
Yes.
you can start.
Okay. I hope you hear me. Okay, I shared my screen. I hope
Yeah.
it is visible. Okay, thank you very much. So this is Luan Gashi. I come from Kosovo. The presentation is prepared as a part of my doctoral studies at the Southeast European University in North Macedonia. The title of paper is a comprehensive review of cybersecurity perspective for wireless sensor networks. The presentation contains the introduction. Then we are going to continue with the aim of this research methodology, then findings, discussion, and then the conclusion. Cybersecurity is treated by the CIA triad, used as an accepted generalized framework with its components consisting of confidentiality, integrity, and availability. The paper is focused on researches which address cybersecurity in wireless sensor networks, and it contributes in defining a new cybersecurity perspective for WSNs, which has found place to be considered and is presented in this paper. The aim of research is finding out if these approaches are necessary at wireless sensor networks, in meaning of replacing the default components of CIA triad with other attributes or requiring other security components at such as networks. Also, the aim is to be based entirely on the latest publications in order to be in time, let's say, according to the research. This is accomplished by using literature review, which is conducted to gather and process data that provide information about related works of the topic, which are found by searching the research keywords. So the methodology is used by searching the keywords, which include cybersecurity, wireless sensor networks, CIA triad, WSN security. The search is conducted at 3 publishers' databases, at the well-known publishers such as IEEE, Springer, Elsevier, as well as at institutions that supply with cybersecurity frameworks such as ISACA, NIST, and ISO. All published information are within the last 5 years. Our findings are shown in this table, where the authors who treat cybersecurity components as used in their researches, actually in their studies about WSN security. The table also shows the publication year and the cybersecurity components used in respective papers of those authors. During the review, we have found, let's say, that the confidentiality, integrity, and availability are the main components of cybersecurity in general manners, and this is also related against all types of attacks in order to secure the WSNs as well. The aim of the research was to find authors who in their studies replace or mention other cybersecurity attributes to secure such as networks. We have found that from that collection of papers, we have found that the attributes which are replaced, let's say, by from the default CIA attributes or components are authentication, zero trust architecture, authenticity, efficiency, and freshness. Related to this, we have extracted how the respective authors defines these attributes and how they use in their studies. So starting from the authentication, it is defined as the attribute and mentioned about security at WSNs but according to respective authors, it is defined as a component which secures and validates the truthfulness of nodes within the wireless sensor networks. This means it belongs like this at the definition of confidentiality as a default CIA triad. Another component used is the so-called zero trust architecture, which is another attribute that is mentioned about securing the WSNs. And according to its definition, which is defined by the respective authors, it protects against intruders, which as a goal is included also within the integrity as part of the CIA triad. Another component is authenticity. That is mentioned about securing the WSNs, similar to authentication, and by this, consequently, it belongs to confidentiality. Efficiency is another attribute of cybersecurity, which is defined as one of WSN's security objectives regarding energy consumption with the aim of providing sustainable services. This security aim is defined as well within the availability component of the CIA triad by ensuring provided services even in case of attacks. Freshness is another contribute that is mentioned about securing the WSNs, which makes unavailability as a component, makes unavailability of server nodes, and by this it is related to availability defined by CIA triad definitions as well. So to conclude these findings in this paper, based on a literature review of papers that treat cybersecurity at WSNs, we have seen that many authors replace one of the components of CIA triad with other attributes by requiring additional or different security attributes for these types of networks. This is shown at the summary table presented in previous slides. And according to our comprehensive findings, it is shown that the CIA triad is the sufficient framework about cybersecurity also for the wireless sensor networks. This proves that all other cybersecurity attributes used by the authors belong to the components of CIA triad, such as confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Probably such as approach of the authors who tend to differentiate this may happen considering the hardware limitations that the WSNs have had, but due to the technological improvements nowadays, we think that this should be revised in accordance with the future perspective that these types of networks are promising. The research is based on currently available papers, hence further studies on cybersecurity considering this paradigm perspective will be done in our future studies. It has been a short paper, so simply this is all about this. More details can be found in published paper. Thank you for your attention. If there is any question, I would be glad to answer.
Thank you for presentation. Is there any question? Okay. All presentation have been completed in this session. Thanks for your contribution. Good evening. See you in tomorrow's sessions.
Thank you, and thank you for such a good organization.
You are welcome.